Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Shark Woman. This is going to be a little tiny introduction before we actually jump in the course. Here we're going to be talking about a few points, and the main goal is to have a strong base in why it's important to swim with sharks and how we're going to remove those limiting beliefs that we used to have coming from the movies and from our nightmares and from all this society view towards sharks that has been impacting their populations through many generations. So the first step to start interacting with sharks is to change your mindset because as soon as you're in the water, you're whatever you think, your body is going to reflect in terms of energy and non-spoken behavior, and that's going to impact and have a great effect in your interaction with the sharks. So let's start a little bit. And let me see. Okay. Limiting beliefs. What is the most common beliefs that we have towards swimming with sharks? Okay, we're gonna separate here two different kinds of divers. The ones who is their first time trying to even think about the thrill of having an encounter with sharks. This is the picture of me with a bull shark in Kaupumo National Park. And just the idea to be in the water with one of these amazing animals without the protection of a cage, it can make us feel a little bit nervous. Maybe sometimes you think that you have to be really brave or you have to be like super like adventurous and like adrenaline junk junkie to be able to do this kind of activities. Or you are an advanced diver and you have been diving all over the world and you actually have done this activity before in the past, but now it is the time for you to take it to the next level and you're curious about different type of practices. Maybe you have encountered some places where the observation protocol was none, and you maybe you used to some behaviors and you were thinking, maybe there's a way to do this in a less impactful or more sustainable way. So this, in any of those cases, that's you. This is the perfect place for you, and you're in the right hands. So, um, for the first profile of diver that we were talking about, the one who's like your first experience in the water with sharks, the first beliefs that comes to our mind if you have an encounter with a shark, especially if you're not expecting to see a shark, is like swim away, like swim and get out of the water as fast as you can. Even in the movies, when there's like a sight of a shark, um, people in the towel from the patrol is like they taking a megaphone and say like, "Hey, you need to get out of the water! Shark in the water! Get out of the water!" So it's like this emergency alert to run as fast as you can of the water. And actually, if you do that, it'll be completely the opposite to be safe if you actually do that. Let's think about like what will you do and how will you react if you encounter a bear in the forest? Do we have the same belief? Like as soon as you see a bear, run, run as fast as you can. No, the most probable thing that it will happen is if you run the bear, it will run faster than you ever could, and it's gonna catch you. Same thing with the sharks. Sharks are gonna be the top predators. The water is their natural habitat and it's not or our habitat. That means you are a clumsy animal in the surface and you trying to swim away, that indicates that you're a prey. So actually you're gonna attract the attention of the shark even more. If the shark was interested in you and if just coming to see what are you, just by trying to escape and swim as fast as you can and leave, that's gonna attract its attention. Why? Um, why we could be so attractive if we are in the like in the ocean and how sharks can perceive us. Well, that's like a really good information to have into account before jumping in the water with them. We need to be aware how powerful these animals can be. We always have to remember that those are going to be top predators and they are perfect machines designed in the water to be super efficient in what they do. So we have only five senses, right? Remember, we have the sight, the smell, the taste, the hearing, and the touch. Well, sharks are going to have more than those. They're going to have the ampulla lorenzini in the base of the face, in the nose. They're going to look like a little black dots, and those are going to have like a jelly consistency inside. And those are going to be uh, electroreceptors. Yes. So they're gonna detect electroreceptivity and magnetism, which means in the bottom of the ocean and the seafloor through the years and thousands of millennia, the different formation of the volcanoes when they explode and the magma goes in the bottom of the ocean, and that will come different type of minerals, and those minerals are going to have different properties, and those properties are going to have different magnetism properties. So those formations or concentrations of minerals in the seafloor are going to be used as a highway. They're going to form patterns, and sharks use those highways to migrate. That's why for example, hammerhead sharks, they're gonna evolve to expand that area in the base of the face to have more ampulla of Lorenzini to be able to detect those signals even better. And therefore, you have the biggest migration of sharks are from hammerheads. Like hundreds and hundreds of hammerheads are gonna travel together, migrate together, and it's gonna be used in the sense that is electroreceptivity and magnetism. The electroreceptivity is gonna detect all the electricity from the movement from your muscles when you move in the water, from your organs like your heartbeat. So even when the shark cannot see you, he can feel you. So you have two more. And also they're gonna have the lateral aligned. There's gonna take changes in the pressure in the water. So again, if you're moving and splashing, they're gonna pick up those signals in that movement in the water, and they're gonna interpret it like if you're a prey, how big you are, or you move like a predator, like how confident you are in the water. With what type of signals you send in the water. Now, if those animals are like so powerful, why we need to care about sharks? Like why the species let's help and save the sharks? Why they're even in danger if they're so perfect? Well, this is like a strategy for some species when those animals that are normally in the top of the food chain, they're gonna have a very few borns, like very few babies. They're gonna grow super slow, which means that they're gonna take really long time to become sexually mature to start reproducing. So that means they are in a disadvantage when they are being killed or hunted for by unnatural causes because they are not reproducing in a faster rate, like say salmon or other fishes that in the opposite way, they can throw like millions and millions of eggs, and because everybody's eating them, a few survive, but because you have like a bigger volume of babies being produced like every day, and the reproduction maturity is closer, like a few months, the comparison with a shark that it can take like up to 15 years to be able to be ready to reproduce, you have a clear disadvantage, especially facing overfishing. Now, why overfishing is a problem right now? I know we just moved from beliefs like what not to do in the water, and now why do we care about sharks? Okay. Sharks have been hunted for hundreds of years through the generations just by the just by collecting the dorsal fins. Not even for the meat, because the meat is really low in nutrients and is really high in heavy metals, like in pollution and mercury, lead, etc. Another heavy metals that are really toxic for um, development. They can cause us like a lot of problems with infertility in humans, wrong development during pregnancy, etc. And those are really heavy to get released from the body. Sometimes they're not able to release to be yeah released from the body. Only women can actually get rid of them through the milk, through breast milk. So now there's places in the world that in communities that live near to the coast and with high consumptions of shark meat with higher concentrations of heavy metals in newborns, in babies. This type of pollution is not only gonna accumulate through your life, but it's gonna be passed on the next generation if um if you breastfeed, I'm sorry, or through the food chain, if that animal who has been accumulating heavy metals through his life, and another animal comes and eat it. So now that animal has double charge of heavy metals. Does that make sense? So that's why the meat it will cost like 20 pesos a kilo. That's like $1. That's for the meat. But if we see the fins, the shark soup fin in Asian countries can cost $100 just one soup. So this is a really big problem because you're targeting animals only to consume the fins, while the rest of the body it goes just for a waste. So that's having like a great impact in the fisheries. And this is considered a delicacy, like a status quo product. It's not even like a traditional recipe, like is not part of the diet, like based on a health or yeah. It's gonna be just related to status quo. Like if you have a big party, if you're gonna show your wealth, then you're gonna serve this shark soup fin in your event. So that's why it's a lot of controversy in this type of practices, and a lot of countries are fighting towards this. It'll be similar or equivalent to the practices they used to have to killing the elephants or the rhinos to get the tusk. And this is how it looks. Fisherman camp with all the shark fins getting dry towards the sun to be able to compress them and sell them for exporting. Of course, different species of sharks are going to have different quality of shark fins, and the value is going to be different, which means a mako shark is not going to be the same as a bull shark or a hammerhead shark. So some sharks are going to be more hunted or more wanted for this type of soup, even though all the fins are going to be made of the same material, which is cartilage, the same structure that we have in our ears and in the top of our noses. So just what I was saying, good quality, low quality versus low quality. I'm sorry, the letters are kind of cut off. Yeah, and that's what happens. Many of these bad practices means that they're gonna catch the shark and they're gonna cut the fins and throw the animal, not even dead, like it's gonna be alive, like drowning in the ocean. So that's like a really cruel practice, and many countries have been fighting shark finning. That's the term. But still, in many places around the world, even Latin America, there's still a lot to do. Many species of sharks still being used as a commercial fishery. For example, bull sharks. Those are the prices that we were talking about. In Hong Kong for 2007, one shark soup plate, it will cost $100, and the fins will be cost. This is the price that they will give to the fisherman in the beach. They will give him like $35 or 72 by 2022 in Baja per kilo. That's 2 pounds. So The first challenge here to switch this situation will be making the question like, okay, so this is the value of the sharks as a fishery. It will be like $72 for 2 pounds of fins and $20, $1, 20 pounds. No, it's not 20 pounds. It's 1 kilo, which is 2 pounds for 20 pesos, which is $1. Yeah, that's what we were saying. So that's the price of the shark. That's the value of one shark dead, right? Depends on the species, right? Like a bull shark could be, they can pull out as much as from 5,000 to 10,000 pesos. That'll be less than $500. Now, what will be the economic value of this animal alive? And that's where you are coming. That's where your voice is important. That's where your actions are important. That's how your hobby can become a conservation tool. Because if you as a tourist, as a diver, you became interested in diving with sharks, then you can bring a direct impact economically to these animals. So what is the value of a bull shark alive in Baja? That was our first question. So we did like a lot of surveys in Cabo Pulmo National Park. That's one of the places in Mexico that you can go diving specifically with bull sharks. You're gonna have Playa del Carmen and Cabo Pulmo. Playa del Carmen, you can dive with sharks, but it's not in natural conditions. That's not is not a national park. They're still fishing. And the fishermen switch to tourism and they start feeding the animals to bring them to the tourism. The difference with Cabo Pulmo is that Cabo Pulmo is the only place in Mexico that you can dive with them in natural conditions because Cabo Pulmo National Park is not allowing to feed the animals. Therefore, that will be like the most natural conditions to approach to them. So, same story here. It used to be like a village and community of fishermen, and when they start uh, fishing so much, all the resources went down, and they run out of sharks down there. So they create the national park, and then they start fighting for the recovery of the reef. That was the first goal at the beginning, just to take care of the reef and bring swimmers to enjoy the beauty of the reef because you have like amazing coral reef down there. But through the years, with the recovery of the this ecosystem, sharks start coming back. And at the end, 20 years later, in 2000, I think it was 2017, they have already the full 100% of recovery in the national park. So that is indicating us that even ecosystems with overfishing can recover if we take action. Just here in Cabo Pulmo, in this graph, you can see, just like the picture before, this huge hammerhead was fish right there in Cabo Pulmo. That was like years and like a few generations ago. Then through the overfishing, you can see the line. This is the number of different species of sharks that they used to have down there in on the park. So they went down almost to zero. And by 1980, there was no sharks there. Then the national park was created in 1995, and they started seeing a recovery in the 2000s, like this, to just let breathe the ocean and start recovering by itself. And by 2017, we have a lot, hundreds of sharks down there. One of the last dives that we performed in Cabo Pulmo, you were able to swim with 20 bull sharks at the same time. And you go to a different spot and you have another 40 bull sharks down there. And we start having pregnant females and juveniles and big adults and aggregation areas and nursery areas for lemon shark, black tips, etc. So at the end, after performing more than 300 surveys to divers who were coming only to dive with bull sharks, we ask them, how much did you spend since you left your house to the time that you come to Kaupumo National Park? How much money did you spend to come to see the sharks? Because it's not the same if you go to a place where you are 100% sure that you're gonna see sharks because they're attracting them, and you can go just for one day and leave, versus Kaupumo, where because we don't have it on a leash and we are not feeding them, is not so sure that you're gonna see them in the first dive. So you have to be more willing to spend more time staying there until you get to see the sharks, right? So at the end, we have an average of 4 days for the people to stay in Kaupumo that are looking for sharks. So they were willing to stay up to 4 days as an average to be able to find them. And from all the tourism that was coming to Kaupumo National Park, 23% of these people were coming specifically to dive with sharks. That means in the last decade, shark diving has become so popular that many divers in the world have just becoming like a shark lovers, and they are willing to travel to different places in the world just to have an encounter with a shark. And that's 23% of the people. If we multiply the 23% of the people that came to Kaupumo National Park through those years, 2017, 2018, and multiply for the $694 that a person spent in average per day to stay in Kaupumo, talking about like from the flight, the food, the dive, everything, our sharks were worth $25,000 annually. And that was in 2018. Now, the tourism doubled on there. So this number went even higher. This is the value for each shark versus the 5,000 to 10,000 pesos, which is $500. $500 versus $25,000 annually from the same shark. And when you kill it, it's only once. You get your $500 once, and that's it. You need to find another shark. And here is a resource that you can reuse again and again and again, because just one boat can bring up to 8 people. And all those 8 people are looking at the same shark. And next day, another group of tourism, they're going to come and see the same shark. So it's a lot. It's a lot, the difference between the same shark as a ecotourism resource than as a fishery. And this is how we make changes in the planet. Because if we only talk about the importance, which is huge, the ecological importance in the ecosystem from these beautiful animals, it's going to be more difficult to make changes. But when we talk about in terms of money and impact, and that includes you in the equation, that's how we can change. So if we compare these numbers at that time with other different places around the world who also are taking advantage of shark ecotourism, we're going to find like a lot of similarities. There are going to be places in the world where the spillover was so big that the whole country just switched from the fisheries to ecotourism. Like Palau, there's no shark fishing in the country anymore. And here in Kaupumo, from the calculating the population of sharks that we had at that time, shark diving was having a $8 million of spillover annually just to the dive shops. No, to the community. And just to the dive shops, 1.4 million. So this year, now 2018, 19, 20 to 25 that we are right now, that number must increase. So we need to put a lot of effort to replicate this in many different places. We have hope. Like here you are seeing like a comparison with other places around the world, like Galapagos, Palau, where they also switch their practices from shark feeding and shark fishing to ecotourism. Okay, now it's clear our conclusion. If we want to save sharks, we have to swim with them, right? Okay, that's perfect. I'm super empowered, and this is why. This is your why. This is why it's so important that you are here, Sharky. This is your why you have to keep doing it. This is why what you do matters in the world. Okay, great. Everybody's empowered. And now how do we do it? This is the next step. Okay, so beautiful. I do want to go see a bull shark, but wait a minute. Don't bull sharks have teeth? I'm not gonna have a cage. Those animals can go up to 3 meters. How you do that and being safe at the same time? Okay, so this is the second part of this introduction, and we're gonna have it in the next video. So now you can take notes, drink some water, go to the bathroom, and I see you for the second part of the video.